I'm a writing instructor in my spare time when I'm not being a student and working at SickNotWeak. This year I started off making up 6-word stories about Kim Kardashian's butt and ended with all of my students writing a piece on mental health. I told them what I did in my second class, and it turns out that a lot of the people I was talking to totally understood what I was going through and were inspired to write about it, because even if you don't have it yourself, everyone knows someone who mental illness has touched. My name is Leanne Simpson. I'm a writing instructor, sometimes, and this is Spilt Milk. I started writing about mental health stuff in my journal. My therapist was like, "Leanne, try yoga." And I was like, "No." And she was like, "Leanne, you should eat more pomegranates." And I was like, "Girl, that's so much work." And then she was like, "Leanne, you should have a journal." And I just like the way that they look, like the pretty colors and chapters. And I wanted to go like 27 dresses shopping, but it was like journals. You're supposed to write in your journal every day. I do not write in my journal every day. Sometimes I go through phases where I only write in the good days, so I'm tricking myself into thinking I'm doing better than I actually am. Sometimes I only write in the sad days, and I go back and I read those later, and I'm grateful for how unsad I've become. Until I get sad again, and then I just cry all over the pages, and it's gross. Now, I don't know if you ever read the community stories on SickNotWeak, but they're pretty amazing things. People pour their hearts out, and it's good for me to read stories like that. And it's probably good for you too, but I think a lot of the time, the person who gets the most out of it is the writer. I had a lot to write about. I had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, I was having panic attacks at school, but I didn't think that anyone wanted to read about that. The kind of writing that I studied in university is called creative nonfiction, or autoethnography. It's about writing about what happens to you and how that relates to the larger world. And that seems a little bit self-centered until you realize that people with mental illness don't get to talk about their stuff that often. To be able to talk to myself was the first step through writing. To be able to share it with other people was a slightly bigger step. For a long time I was like, why me? Why am I sick? Why is all of this happening? Why am I putting knives to my wrist? And maybe I was supposed to do this so I could write about it, so I could talk about it, and so I could help people. And maybe that's what you're supposed to do too. Writing is the most honest way that you can communicate what you're going through. So if you're thinking about starting to write, here are a couple things from my writer's teacher's toolbox, but also just as a person who writes for fun and is also really sad sometimes. Write for yourself, write in your own voice. You have the most honest version of what's happened to you, and it deserves to be told. So don't use therefore unless you really, really want to. Number 2, write in your favorite place. I go to the Silver Snail, which is a comic book store on Yonge Street, and I order the same drink every time because they're all named after superheroes, and I sit in the corner and I write. Create a circle for yourself. I have a group of friends, and we share our writing together about once a month. And it's good for me because, I get out of bed and stop watching Netflix, but also because it's nice to have others appreciate what you're doing and to share parts of yourself. The best kind of emails I get in my email inbox are number 1, from Michael, when he uses lots of caps. Number 2, from people who have read my stories, because I write stories, they're around, and they've helped people. The best thing you can do by becoming a writer is inspiring someone else to be a writer. Even if you don't win any awards for your book or your book stays in your closet forever, the fact that you made it and maybe inspired someone else to write, that's enough. If you can give someone else the confidence to think that their story matters, then you did a good job. No matter how many commas you use or don't use, you're a good writer. My name is Leanne Simpson. I really miss my dogs. I feel like this video is kind of empty without my dogs. I'm gonna go find them. My name is Leanne Simpson. I found my... No! No! It's healthy, and I know that mental illness can make you feel withdrawn and kind of like a grape that sat in the sun for a long time, and now you're all pruny. And prunes are gross to eat and probably less fun to hug. Don't be a prune. Share your writing. I just found out that dried grapes are raisins, and I actually don't know what prunes are. A prune is a plum preserved by drying, having a black, wrinkled appearance, or a disagreeable old person.
Does that actually say that?
Yeah.